Hey, hi guys, good morning. Just waiting for everyone to join. Okay, so we'll be starting in next 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, guys, so let me share my screen and then we can start it off. Can you see my screen? Okay, so today we will talk about the security in AWS. Quite a easy topic. So normally, what is the security in AWS means? What do I exactly mean by a security in the AWS? So security Okay. So like what happens is, see, AWS provides a very secured infrastructure by default, but it's still it has an additional services which is there. AWS has its own additional services which provide some added layers of security, and this will help you to ensure that your infrastructure is very secure. So what does the AWS does is AWS provides several security services, okay, and features to help organizations ensure their cloud infrastructure is secure. Okay. For this, there are some really some important aspects which AWS provides. Okay. So let's say there is a model which we call it as a shared responsibility model. Shared responsibility model. You will not get questions on solution architect exam on shared responsibility model, but you get a questions on the cloud practitioner examinations on the SRM model, which is the shared responsibility model. With the name shared responsibility, what do you think? What is the meaning of this shared responsibility model? See, as the name suggests, responsibilities is being shared between AWS and the user. Let's suppose Akshat goes and create an account on AWS and start creating infrastructures, start doing the task. Now AWS says, yes, okay, fine. I will secure. Okay. I'm responsible. AWS says that I am responsible for the security of the cloud. For the security of the cloud, which includes hardware, software, networking, etc. Which includes hardware, software, networking, etc. Okay. Whereas Akshat also have some responsibilities of the security, which includes, okay, uh, okay, so which includes basically security in the cloud. I can say security in the cloud, which includes data, identities, application, and configurations. This Akshat will ensure that it is secured. AWS will ensure that these things are secured. So both will be sharing the response. It's not both would be sharing the responsibilities. It's not responsibility of a single person. It's a responsibility combined together of the user who is using the cloud and AWS. Both together will ensure that the user Akshat gets the best secured environment. So what happens is AWS operates under a shared responsibility model, shared responsibility model where where AWS is responsible for the security of the cloud. Okay, if you are going and appearing for cloud practitioner exam, you will get around 2 to 3 questions on this part. Like what is secured by AWS, what is secured by user, just to understand that part. Because in AWS cloud practitioner exam, it is being assumed that the candidate only has a theoretical knowledge. Okay. Responsible for security of the cloud, which includes hardware, software, networking, and facilities. While customers are responsible for security in the cloud, which includes data, identities, applications, and configurations. Take a note of it, then I will talk about other security models. Okay. Now, the second one, which is there, is IAM. Is again one of the security feature. Okay, we know it very well. It's an identity and access management. We are already aware of it. It was already covered for you. Okay. Identity and access management. It enables you to manage access to AWS services and the resources securely. You can control who can perform what actions on a specific resource. So here you can control who can perform what actions on a specific resources by creating, okay, by creating and managing users, groups, and roles, and assigning granular permissions. Okay. So we can assign the roles, we can assign we can create the users, to give them the access, we can provide them the roles. So yes, but it's a secure mechanism. So it's one of the aspects of security. Okay, you're already aware of it. Third point is we have security group and NACLs. We have security. I will just put it in the next slide. Please take a note of it. Now, the third thing is we have security group and NACLs, network access controllers. Can you tell me the difference between them? NACL. Can you tell me the difference between security group and NACL? That's again one of the security aspect. Security group is at a resource level like EC2, NACL is at a subnet level. Absolutely correct. Security, NACL applied to VPC. Security group is broader than NACL. In security group, we can control this traffic. Same thing, control traffic in the NACL. Okay, absolutely correct. Answers. Okay. Now, let me tell you what is a security group and what is a NACL. Okay. So security group, no. Whenever we were creating EC2 machines, the firewall which we were creating is known as security group. So security group act as a virtual firewall for individual EC2 instances or other AWS resources. Okay, like RDS databases. Second thing is NACL. I will just give you a proper comparison, but yes, we have NACL, which is also there. NACL is basically, it acts as a firewall. Okay, it acts as a firewall at a subnet level, at a subnetwork level, controlling the traffic in and out of entire subnet in your VPC, entire subnet in VPC. So we have a VPC. We have a VPC here. Inside the VPC, we have the subnets. This is my subnet 1. This is a subnet 1. This is a subnet 2. Okay, we have two subnets which is there. Okay. Now, let's say, or I'll just, okay, it's fine. Now, we have a machine. So at a machine level, there's a firewall across the machine. We call it as a security group. And there is a across the subnet, we have the NACL. Okay, so when the traffic is coming up, it need to go through this firewall first, then go through this firewall, and then will reach to the machine. Two layer of security would be present up. But these two are like the way they are providing the security is little bit, you will see there's a difference between them. What is the difference? I will talk about it. But yes, it is at a subnet level, subnetwork level. Whereas it is providing it to individual. It will provide to individual EC2 machine. Are you understanding? Yes or no? Any other point you remember? Okay. Now, there are some points which we should actually have it in our mind. In the case of security group and in the case of NACLs, we need to take care of it. The security group are stateful set. This is the second point, right? They are stateful. Okay. Which means, what is the meaning of it? It means that if incoming request is allowed, the outbound traffic is automatically allowed. It means, okay, if inbound rule is automatically allowed, sorry, is inbound rule is or inbound request is allowed, the corresponding corresponding outbound traffic is automatically allowed. Okay. You don't need to explicitly define outbound rules for the return traffic. You don't have to provide it, which is one of the very, very important thing. In the NACL, we have it as a stateless. Stateless means both incoming and outgoing traffic need to be explicitly allowed or denied. Here in the case of NACL, we can deny the traffic also. We can say we do not want to receive a traffic from a specific port. We can deny that as well in the case of NACL. So NACL are stateless, meaning both incoming and outgoing, incoming and outgoing traffic need to be explicitly allowed or denied. Denied. In security group, the in security group, there is no, like, you cannot deny the traffic. Okay. If you allow the inbound traffic, you must explicitly allow the outbound response. Now we have a question that where do we use SG and NACL? See, security group is being used. It's a firewall. The first point we have discussed that, right? It's a firewall across the EC2 machine. So across, whenever you create an EC2 machine, you need to have that security group across the machine. Whereas in the NACL, it's like a firewall across the subnet. At a subnet level, we use NACL. But by default, when we created a subnet, all incoming traffic was enabled, all outgoing traffic was enabled. Okay. I will show you now that how we can work with it. But yes, by default, both will be enabled. That's why we really didn't have to work on it. Later on, we can make the required changes as per the need and the requirement. But security group works at a machine level. It's a firewall across the EC2 machine. Whereas this is firewall across the subnet level. Got it? Please confirm. Viresh. Now, Viresh, you understood you? Okay, no problem. Now, I will just mention that as well about the rules. We only have allow rules. Allow rules. Okay, if we are not adding any rule, it will be denied. It will adding any rule or any port, it would be denied. It would be, or it will only allow rules. Okay, you don't have deny rules here. You don't have deny rules in security group. Obviously, if you're not adding up that rule, it will be denied only, but specifically you cannot deny it. Specifically, you cannot deny a particular rule. Whereas in the case of this NACL, when I specifically talk about the rules, so NACL allows you to create both allow and deny rules. Okay. This allows for more granular control, enabling you to block the specific IP address ranges or ports. So we have a specific rules which is there, okay, which is being present. Take a note of it. Take a note of it if you are noting it down. You are understanding it, right? I will show you this as well. Now, there are some other points. This you need to keep in your mind because it's like commonly these direct points will come up in your exam. If you're giving the solution architect exam, these things will come up for sure. Then we come up with the fourth point. I'm deleting it. Those who have not those who have not written it properly, you can take a photo of it and can write it later on. Then the third thing is about the security group, which you should be taking care of, is basically sure. Okay. Now, now there's a default behavior which it shows. I can say there's a default behavior which it shows. Now, when I say a default behavior, what exactly is that default behavior is? It means that all the inbound traffic is denied. Yeah, that is what I'm telling Janardhan right now. So all the inbound traffic, all the inbound traffic is denied. Okay. And all outbound traffic, okay, all the outbound traffic is allowed when by default when you create a security group. Whereas in the case of NACL, the default behavior is all the in the case of this NACL, it allows all inbound and outbound traffic. Okay. So when you create a custom NACL, you will see that it will deny all the traffic by default. But when you are creating it with subnet, like when you're creating VPC at the subnet, at that point of time, it will say that all the traffic is enabled. That's the reason why we didn't have to work on the NACL. Okay. So second thing is NACL is basically applied to all the instances or the machines within the subnet level. Okay. Controlling traffic to and from the subnet as a whole. So it applies to all the instances altogether. Whereas here in this case, okay, when I say this security group, it is on a specific, like we have security group. We have a security group which can be shared between multiple instances, but we have a security group for at an instance level. Okay, at an instance level. So instance level. So we can have a security group for a same instance. We have multiple, like we have same security group for multiple instances also. Like it's a same security group is being shared between multiple instances. That is also being happening. You got it right? Please confirm. These are some of the difference you should be taking care of when you're working in the system. Now, there are some other more concepts of the security. I'm deleting the screen now. Here, if you look at it, if I go to EC2, if I click on the EC2 here, so NACL is in the front, it at a subnet level, router table. So we have a question. So NACL is in the front of route table protecting the subnet. See, routing table has nothing to do with the NACL. At a subnet level, you are absolutely right, Roshan. It is on the subnet level at that point. So it's basically, if let's say we have this internet gateway, we have the router, which is where the routing tables are being defined. We have, let's say, this is there. So on top of it, we have this. Okay, we have this NACL. So all the machines, so to traffic, this need to, like when the traffic is coming from the internet, it need to bypass the network access controllers. So NACL is majorly used to block. Okay, it's used to block some traffic coming from China or some IP addresses, some blacklisted IP addresses, we can block it. If the client shares us some list of IP addresses, we can block it. Or if you are receiving like bot traffic from a specific IP, we can block it from the NACL. So that traffic will not be entering inside my system. Or some hacking activity is being identified. We can block it. So at that level, the NACL will actually make a difference. But most of the time, you will be working at a security group level only. Okay. Now here, if you look at it, we have a security groups. Now in the security group, see, so many security groups are there. Whenever we were creating the machine, most of the time we were creating a new security group only. And that's the reason so many security group is there. Even I want, I can delete the security groups. It's not a problem. I can delete this security group. I can just write delete and we can delete it. Now it's not a problem until unless it's not, machine is not running or machine is not even in the stopped state. You cannot delete a security group, but as of now, all my machines are terminated. So I really do not have to worry about it. So it will be deleted. Okay. So security groups are being deleted. I can now, like, if there is no as such number to this number of security group, you can add or create more than 10,000, 20,000 security group, which is, I think, is more than sufficient for a whole lifetime of a AWS account. So we will be creating a security group here. Let's say we were creating it while creating EC2 machines also. Right now, I'm just showing you what all features do we have in the security group. Now, here the first thing is you will be putting up the name to the security group. Let's say you are putting up my new security group. Any name you can give it to the security group. So this security group does not have any rules. Okay, any ports enabled. Now it will ask me to which VPC, like my machines ultimately will be present in some VPC, right? So this security group should be present in which particular VPC. So I can select my custom VPC, the way which I have created previously, or I can go for the default one. Actually will not make any kind of difference. Now, we have, sorry, we have inbound rule. Now, what is the inbound rule? Can you tell me that? What is the inbound rule is? Okay. Inbound rule is a setting that control the type of traffic that can enter a resource. Okay. It is a setting that controls type of traffic, okay, that can enter a resource. Okay. Like EC2 instance or subnet. That is what the inbound rule will do. For example, there is a machine which is running up. You are running some application inside that machine. Okay. Now there is a user who is accessing this application from internet, which is port 80. Now there is a firewall across this machine. Now, when that user is accessing, okay, control the type of traffic that can enter a resource. So this is this like the security group. If inbound rule is disabled, if let's say 80 rule is not there, so this user will get an error message. Okay. Yes, Ernest. Okay. So in that case, you will not be able to access the application. Or else, let's say if there is a 80 rule is being enabled here, 80 port is enabled. So in that case, the firewall will allow the traffic coming from the particular location. Now, okay. So here the type will come up, like from which port every user or every, let's say if you want to access, okay, you want to access a specific other port. Let's say you are accessing Jenkins. Let's say Jenkins is a DevOps tool which works on port 8080. That's a software which only works on a specific port. Then you have to enable 8080 port here. Okay, which is a custom port. If you are working with, let's say, network file system, you need to enable, in the case of the EFS, we were using NFS, right? So 2049, we need to enable. Then if we want to use, let's say, MySQL, MS SQL 1433, that's the port. So that's basically the traffic, or how the access can be defined, is basically done with the help of the inbound rule, the traffic which can be accessible from outside. So here I can say, let's say, if I select HTTP, then which means that port 80 is internet port. Generally, it's an internet port. Whenever you are hosting any application over the internet, you need to enable this port so that the application can be accessible from outside world. Now here, there is multiple options you will see. Source is anywhere IP6 my IP address. Now what is this my IP? If you see, there is 103.167.195.128. One zero three 167.195.128. See, it's the same one. 103.167.195.128. It's the same IP address which is there. So guys, what is happening up is, let's say I want this machine to be accessible only from me. If Ernest wants to open this machine, or if let's say Arvinder wants to open this machine, or if Madhuri wants to open this machine, Janardhan wants to open this machine, they will not be able to open this, or they will not be able to access this machine. The reason is because this machine, or the application, they will not be able to access the application which is running on port 80. Because I'm saying that my security will only allow the traffic coming from this IP address to access the application running over the machine. Okay. Now, when you are working in your offices, you will, okay, you are connected to a VPN. Let's suppose there's a timesheet. Are you aware of timesheet which you need to fill in your office? Anyone who has never worked on in any company? So in your office, no, there is a timesheet which you need to fill, which basically defines the complete task which you have done on that weekly basis. Okay. So we do it on Fridays most of the time, or Saturday most of the times. So there is a timesheet which we fill. Now this timesheet, if you have seen, it's that particular website where you fill the timesheet is only connected, or it's only accessible if you're connected to the VPN of your office. Now, what does that VPN provide? VPN puts you at a specific like range of IP. Let's say in my office, we have 8, sorry. And go on, it goes on. This could be, is it? This is a range. Now, what they are saying that anything coming from 8.8. Okay, so what they will do, what they would have done here is, they've said that whatever is coming from 8.8, 0.0.0/16 will be allowed. Which means if my laptop VPN will give me a specific IP address. So if I connect to VPN and I get this IP, it will be allowed. If my friend got this IP, it would be allowed because it is a part of 8.8. 8 plus 8, 16, right? So 16 I'm giving it to the network. So it could be anything here. It will fall under this. So only what has happened here is, only if we are connected to the network, to the office network, okay, then only I will be able to access that specific machine. That is how in your offices this particular thing would be defined. You are able to understand it, right? You are able to understand it. See, if I open the command prompt also, no, if config, right? This is the command. If IP config, yeah, you can see right now, like if I just go to the office today, okay, if you're working professional, open command prompt, disconnect with your VPN first of all, or try to connect with your mobile hotspot first of all. Okay, if you will reach to the office, you will be connected to your office network, so that is automatically connected. But if you're not, if you're at home today, just try to connect from your mobile hotspot and check IP config. You will see a different IP address if you're not connected to the VPC. But as soon as you connect to this is my personal laptop, but as soon as you connect to a VPN here in our office, here we have a VPN. I cannot recall the name of the VPN which we're using, but yes, automatically it changed to 8.8 as an IP comes up. But the IP changes. I I enter inside the office network so that I can access everything from a private network itself. Same thing happens here also. A particular application, I want to access it from the office network, I can select it from it. But if I select anywhere, it means 0.0.0 says 0. Now, from beginning, we are using 0.0.0/0. What exactly is the meaning of it? Let's suppose there is an application Netflix. Now, Netflix would be accessible by Akshat also. Akshat is working on a different IP address. It would be accessible from Ernest also. Ernest on a different IP address. It would be accessible from, okay, it would be accessible from Ravi also. Ravi on a different IP. So across the world, it would be accessible. Okay, from any IP address. So this 000 means any IP address. So any traffic coming from internet will be able to access this machine. This particular statement means any traffic coming from internet will access this machine. Yes or no? Hope you are understanding. Please confirm. And in your office also, this is something which administrator does, but you need to have that understanding of the concept. That is really mandatory. Because here most of the people stuck. Like personally speaking, I have seen people wasting even months in resolving this issue that my application need to be accessible. We are developing some internal application which can be only accessible from the office itself, from the office network. They face a lot of issues here in the inbound room. Just keep my explanation in your mind and you will not face, you will really save 1 month of your time and you will have that recognition in the company as well. This happened with me. That's why I cover this specific point. Now, the second thing which will come up is the outbound rule. Now, outbound rule is the traffic which is being, can you tell me what is the outbound rule? Okay. So it basically, I can say outbound rule in AWS define the types of traffic that can leave a resource such as an EC2 instance or a subnetwork. The traffic which is going to outside. Okay. So that is being defined in the outbound. So for example, let's say if your application is there from inside this machine, what traffic you can access or what particular port you can access. Let's say if you enable 80 port, it means that you will be able to talk to the internet from inside. If you disable this 80, it means you will not have that internet connectivity from inside the machine. So traffic which is generated from outside. Now, I really do not have to worry much about the outbound rule practically also, because again, if we are securing the inbound rule, it's very rare the person will be coming inside the machine and do some hacking or some unwanted activities. That's something which will not be there. But if you select any specific port also here, let's say my machine, like I can select any port. But since it's not a really any concern, that's the reason by default also it says all the traffic is enabled. But you can control the outbound traffic also based on your rules which you want to define in the case of machines as well. Now I will save. I will create a security group here. I missed what I missed. Yeah, it's creating up. So we have the security group. My security group is created. I can attach the same security group to an EC2 machine. So let me launch a new machine here. Here we have any operating system, not make any difference. I will select an existing security group. This is a security group which just now we created. I can select my existing security group also. I can create a security group also. Now I will launch an instance. We will be launching an instance here. We have launched this instance. Now, can you tell me if I will try to connect to the machine, will I be able to connect? If I try to do an SSH, I will select the machine, click on this connect button. And if I try to do this machine, will I? No. What's the reason of no? Answer is no. What's the reason? Yes, absolutely. Anyone who says yes, yeah, boot SSH, which is SSH, is that to use EC2 instance connect. So if I try connecting it to this machine, I will not be able to connect. Okay. In the inbound rule, which we have set it up, we have not enabled the port 22 because from outside when I'm trying to connect, it is not there. Okay, so I will be getting an error. Now in this case, what I'm going to do is, you just keep showing, see this error message. Failed to connect to your instance. And this error. This is a very common error you will also be getting sometimes. Now, in that case, what you will be first doing is, you will check the security group. Okay, because that's the only possibility of the issue. So you will select the machine, go to the security here, select the machine, go to the security, and there is a security group which you will be finding here. There's a security group which you will find here. So you will just select the machine, go to the security tab, and there you will see the security group. So click on the security group. Okay. In the security group, we have inbound rule, which is the traffic which is generated from outside or traffic which is coming from outside. I will edit the inbound rule. I'm trying to connect to this machine from outside, from a different network. So I will select SSH. And I will say IPv4 and save the rule. Now, as soon as I do it and refresh it, you will see I will be able to connect to the machine. Unlike the previous time, I've just refreshed the page and you will see I will be able to establish the connection to the machine because I have enabled SSH connection. You can see I'm being able to enter inside the connection. This. Now you understood the significance of using a proper security group. It's a very important security constraint that need to be taken care of. Similarly, we have the NACL also. In the VPC, if you go, so at a subnetwork level, we have a NACL, which is network ACL, network security groups. Okay. Now by default, it is being created up. You can see there is like, so, like I think we have three VPCs. The default one has 6 subnets. Okay, this is was two custom was also there, which has two subnets. So you will also be seeing that this is created by default. It says default as yes, which means it's created by the default one. So like it's automatically created now. But when I create a network security NACL, I will just have to say, let's say, I will give some name. My NACL. Okay, any name I can give it. It belongs to, let's say, default VPC. Okay, let's keep it. Any VPC you can select. It will not make any difference. Let's say testing VPC app name, the custom one, which we created up. You can select any kind of VPC here. Click on this create a network NACL. Okay, see this one. Now you will see in the default, it says no now because I have manually created it. It's not created by default. There is no cost involved in NACL or as the security group. It's a security aspects. Security tools are mostly free, provided by AWS, or there's a very minimal charges. Security is something which AWS tries to, like we can say, divide basically. It does not charge you heavy amounts to increase the security of your infrastructure. AWS also knows that security is something which is really important for any kind of infrastructure. So most of the services you will see in the security are free, and some of the services which should really be very costly are available at a very nominal cost. Now here, if you see this NACL, okay, inbound rule and outbound rule is there. By default, you will see, I told you, I have written it also. All the rules for the manual one will be denied. Okay, see, here all the rules are being allowed altogether. Whereas here I'm saying that it's denied. I can just select it. Okay. Now I will add a new rule. I will say that a rule number, now this is a rule number. Now this is a priority. Priority means, see, what happens here in the priority is, just a minute. Let's say here I'm selecting, I need to allow all the traffic. Just understand. In the priority number, in the rule number 100, in rule number 100, I said that allow all traffic. But later on, I realized that there is a hacker who is trying to hack our application from port 1234. So I will say 1234. Okay, or sorry, I will say rule number 90, let's say, which is the smaller number than 100. Okay, which comes first? It will be given more priority over 100, and it says deny traffic from, let's say, port 8080, any number. Here it was saying that it will, if I would have not defined this, then it would have allowed all the traffic, port 8080 also. But if I have selected it, that 90, then it will deny the port 8080. So this less this number is, less this 90 number, less this number is, more is the priority. If I put 1 as here as a rule number, that will be the most priority. You cannot bypass it then. Okay. So generally we keep the 100 in the companies also. If I would have kept deny as 101 or 120, any number after which is greater than 100, then it will allow all traffic, which means 8080 would be allowed, because that's a priority. That's how the priority is being defined here. You got it? Yes or no? Please confirm. You got it? Yes or no, guys? Are you understanding the concept here? So NACL works at a subnet level. So here I can select what particular port I need to select. range of port, or I will say, let's say all traffic. Source could be anything. I want to allow that traffic. Okay. By default, you get deny. It does not matter because it's a star mark. The star mark means like does not matter. Okay. You cannot delete it. It actually does not matter. As soon as you create your first rule, this will be, it does not make any sense because star is there. Star means like as any rule number comes up, then star will become insignificant. Okay. So whenever any rule number comes up, then this star will become insignificant. So by default, as I already told you, by default, okay, whenever you create a new NACL, it will have the deny rule. But as soon as you create a first rule, this will completely become insignificant. Any rule you are creating up, it will become insignificant. Okay, because here there's a deny and accept rules, both are there, right? You and just think of it in that way. Just think of it in a simple way. I give you a box. Okay, I give you a box wherein you have some numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now I'm telling you that you can deny or accept these numbers on this box. Like someone can pick up these numbers, but you can allow and deny them to pick up anything. Like it's like you define that a person cannot pick up, two-person can pick up, three cannot pick up. So initially in that box, so you have to deny all the traffic. No, then you will start saying that, okay, you can allow, I want to allow 4 to be picked up. Now, when you allow 4 to be picked up, all other things will be denied by default. Otherwise, it will be allowed, right? Or getting the point, right? There are 65,000 ports. Now, how will you define, allow or deny here? You say that, okay, I want to allow this. You say, I want to deny this. Specifically defining that this port should be denied. So in such situation, this will actually coming up. So it's a stateful, right? It's a stateful. That is what it will matter. In the security group, we have like we don't have any in the security group when we created up, we have only allow rules. By default, others are deny only. If you do not give 80/80 or if you do not give 22, which is SSH, it will be denied in the security group. Here in the NACL, you can allow and you can deny both. So this will deny, like obviously, no, initially there are 65,000 ports. All of them would be denied. Then you can allow and deny as per your need and requirement. Now I want to, like, I have enabled all the traffic. I want to now say that port 90, 80/80 should be denied. So I can deny that specifically. Okay. You got it right, yes or no? I want to block a particular IP address. I can do that as well. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Coming from port 80, I can provide the IP address here. So a traffic coming from a specific IP address, whatever the IP address is, I can deny. I told you in China and all, the Chinese traffic is coming up. They come from a specific port. That can be denied. So in this way, I can just really work around this part and get it done. But here, to be very frank, sort by the rule number. See, as soon as I click, 80 is more priority, 90 is less priority, 100 is the least priority. So what I'm doing, I'm saying that I want to allow all the traffic and then I want to deny 90 and 80. The traffic coming from 90 port and 80 port, and I can see the changes. Hope you understand basic subnet. I can select it up. That's as simple as that. Okay, so I hope you are understanding. Let's have a quick break and then we continue. Okay, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. So we have AWS guard duty. This is one of the security feature. Okay, I can say it's one of the security. Okay, which is one of the security features which is being there in the case of AWS. When I say the guard duty, what exactly is a guard duty is? It's a fully detection. Okay, it's a fully managed threat detection. Okay, service which is being provided. Service provided by AWS that continuously monitor and analyze your AWS environment and analyze your AWS environments. Okay, for malicious and or unauthorized activities. Okay. Now it helps to identify the potential security threats by using like on the back end, it uses machine learning, says anomaly detection, threat detection, which is there. Okay. So it helps to identify, okay, it helps to identify the potential security threats by using machine like as per the previous data, like if there is some a lot of data is coming or there's a lot of content coming on from a same IP address, let's say to your load balancer, then you can go for the guard duty. Okay. Anomaly detection, anomaly detection, and threat intelligent feeds. Threat intelligent feeds. Okay. Now it will like when I talk about what exactly it is doing, more traffic from one IP, that is DDoS. It's a part of a shield. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Janardhan. Okay. So now what happens is, let's take an example. So like it will track your API activities, unusual API calls, unusual traffic coming, unusual patterns that may indicate the unauthorized access that is being tracked by the guard duty. It monitors the network flow or network traffic flow, which is going to and from AWS resources to detect some suspicious communication network, like like some communication with known malicious IP addresses. Okay, so such kind of thing is being detected by the guard duty. So let's say there is a machine, there is an EC2 machine. Okay, on top this EC2 machine, let's say there is a load balancer. Okay. Now, actually, this reporting takes around 24 hours. I have to enable it today and tomorrow only I can show you this. So what is happening is the traffic is coming from the load balancer. So there's a traffic coming from the load balancer. Okay. Now I can enable the guard duty. Now it's a very simple, it's not something which is really complicated. It's a very simple process. You can just simply enable the guard duty and you will say that I need to track all the traffic coming to this load balancer. So it will track, and if there is a malicious activity which is being detected, it will immediately let you know that, okay, these are the problems which is being identified. Okay. So, um, okay. Now, how does it actually work? So what does a guard duty will do? So guard duty uses guard duty. This no one will ask you, but I'm just telling you, uses threat intelligent from AWS, from AWS. Okay. If you have heard about CrowdStrike, have you heard about CrowdStrike? Recently, if you remember, Microsoft issue came up. Recently, if you remember, last month, there was a Microsoft was down. It brought, yes. And unluckily that day I was in the airport on when this all these things happened. No. So yes, blue screen issue. So here, okay. So it uses the threat intelligence from AWS and CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a very big company to identify the known malicious IP addresses, domains, and anomalous activities. Okay. So now for anomaly activity detections, it uses machine learning to detect the behavior deviations. Okay, so let's say some unusual login patterns it is there, some excessive data transfer is there, or some attempts to disable some security features, which is being happening from the application side. All those things, your guard duty, as the name suggests, it's taking a guard. It's basically it's taking care of your application. It monitors regularly, and as soon as there is some malicious activity which is being detected at a point of time, it will immediately let you know that this is what is being happening up. Yes or no? Yes or no? Now, the second thing which comes up, I will just first cover the topic. Second thing which comes up is inspector, AWS inspector. As the name suggests, inspector is a like police cop, right? So it helps you to find vulnerabilities. So what is a cop will do? Just understand and remember in this way. Let's say there's a police van which is there. Okay, there's a police van which is there. Okay, that police van is going on this road, will check for issues. Let's say there is some person who is wearing mask and looks like a thief, that person will immediately catch it. Or someone who has door open will check and tell that person that close the door. So here also the same thing is being taken care by the AWS inspector. And what does the AWS inspector will do? It's one of the security features. So I can say AWS inspector is a security feature service that helps you to find vulnerabilities in your, okay, for you to find vulnerabilities in your AWS environment, like bugs or, okay, or the weaknesses that could make your system less secure. Can you give me some example? Any example what you feel will be making my system less secure in anywhere? Let's say anything in AWS you are configuring, and what do you think at what point it will make my system less secure? Let's say in EC2 perspective. Yes, Janardhan, allowing all the inbound traffic. Absolutely, it will make my system less secure. Or if all the ports are enabled by default, definitely there is a probability a hacker might be able to enter inside the system. I can allow all the IP addresses. I'm using even the default VPC. Okay. Lot of stuff is there. And when you enable the AWS, you just need to enable AWS inspector. You will see the AWS inspector will find the vulnerabilities within your environment. It will find all the vulnerabilities in your the resources which you have created at a resource level. Okay. So what does it AWS inspector will do? AWS inspector will scan your resources. It will be scanning the resources for you. So I can say scan the resources. Now, what does the scanning will mean? So AWS inspector look at your resources like EC2 instances for some potential security risk. So AWS inspector looks at your resources such as EC2 instances for potential security risk. It checks things like missing updates, configuration issues that could be unsafe, some known vulnerabilities that can be taken care. Okay. Now, it does automated checks. Okay. It does an automated checks wherein it follows the best security. Okay. It does the automated checks where it follows the best practices of security. And normally we call it as a security benchmark. Security benchmark. So we follow this best practices and compare your environment against them. Okay, you will get a reports. It will be generating a report and you will be getting a report. It generates reports. It generates the reports. After scanning, it will give you a report showing what it found. So after scanning, it gives you report showing what it found. It found. So it will be generating the report for you. Okay. So let's take an example. Let's say there is a EC2 machine which is running some older version of software. Okay. AWS will scan that EC2 machine and find the software is out of date and might have the security risk. and tell you to update it to a safer version. So that is what the AWS inspector will do it. If there is a inbound rule is enabled, all the inbound rule is enabled, AWS inspector will tell you that, okay, this is something which is a potential issue or potential threat, can be taken care of. Okay. Is this included in the CI/CD pipeline? If you are using the AWS based code pipeline, then it will be included. But if you are using any third party tools, then, or if you are using some tools like Jenkins and all, there's a separate tools to check all these stuff. You cannot use AWS inspector there. Okay. AWS inspector is meant for AWS resources only. Please confirm if you are understanding the till this point. Now, if you go to the AWS inspector, let me show you this part. Yeah, please take a note of it if you have written it. Or shall I first cover the theory today and then practical of this part? Now, okay, now let's see. Theory, okay. Now, okay, so let me just complete the theory and then I will show you this practicals. Okay. Now we have, like in the security, when someone asks you more security features you have worked on, you can say CloudTrail. We have already seen it. Trails records all the API activities within your AWS account. It CloudTrail tracks all the API activities within your AWS account, providing logs that you can review to ensure, we are already aware of it, okay, to ensure proper security practices is followed by your employers also. Okay. We have multi-factor authentication, MFA. Multi-factor authentication is there, which is an MFA. Multi-factor authentication. Now, AWS strongly recommends using multi-factor authentication to add an extra layer of security. So AWS strongly recommends to use MFA to add extra layer of security. Okay, a layer of protection of your AWS account, of protection of AWS account. So that can also be done. Now, okay, these are the things which you can take care of. Okay, so we will see them one by one. We have already seen CloudTrail. We have an inspector. We have a guard duty. We have a multi-factor authentication. Now, in case of like multi-factor, was it done in the IAM, guys? Because IAM topic was taken by other trainer for you. Was it being done in the IAM, multi-factor authentication? Yes, then it's good. Then multi-factor authentication is also good. So we can enable the multi-factor authentication, whether it's an app based where you can use Microsoft authenticator or a Google authenticator to authenticate your application, or else you can go for other tools as well. Okay. other ways as well. But for now, we will be checking the AWS inspector. Now, yeah, here it is. I will just go to AWS. I will just do one more thing. I will edit the inbound rule. Now, I will go to the AWS inspector. Like I've enabled all the traffic for this machine. So the AWS inspector is there. Okay. Now, I will just switch to the classic version. That's a better, like, it has more options. Here, though, you can just directly enable the AWS inspector. It will start working directly. But here you need to configure it. Okay, in the classic view, you just need to configure the AWS inspector, which will give you better control over the infra and better control over the system. But nowadays, with the latest version, you just need to enable it. It automatically start tracking. But here you have little more control over the settings. Now, we will be clicking on the getting started. Now, welcome to AWS inspector. In the assessment type, we have majorly two types of assessments which you will see. Where is a network assessment? It will basically check your network, whether your network is accessible outside the VPC, like the ports which is getting enabled, all those things will be taken care in the network assessment. It will check the network. Like a hacker will be entering from a specific network. Okay. Whether your system is vulnerable to that specific network or not. So network assessments will be done. Okay. When it will cost around $61 a month, which is really huge. Like huge in the sense 100 instances, $61 per month. So it's not a big amount, right? 100 instances is a huge number. Very frankly, you will not have like 10 to 12, more than 10 to 12. And your company will never say no to using the Amazon inspector. Very frankly, $5-6 monthly bill. That's kind of a 1 day cost of your or 1 hour cost of your EC2 machine. So as I already told, these are the cheapest services. Security is cheap. Now, second one is the host assessment. Okay. Whether your host, your machine at a machine level, is some software needs to be updated, if some patching need to be done, if there is some issues coming up at a software level, that can be done in the host assessment. And I can, in the case of host assessment, I need to install the agent. Agent is basically a software. Okay, software provided by inspector, AWS inspector, which need to be installed in the machines. Which need to be installed in machines. Okay, this is what is there. Now I can set up to run it weekly, but for now, I can directly set it up. But for now, I will be clicking on this advanced setup so that we can see other options, which is there in the AWS inspector, which was not there in the latest look and feel. Now, here we can define the assessment target. Like what is my target is like whom I need to track or in which machines I need to find that issue. So all the instances, I can select that all the instances in this specific region I need to track. Or else I can give a tag. I can provide a tag to my machine. I can say that a machine with this specific key and the value will be tracked. So for example, let's say I have this machine. Okay, I have this machine. So I can tag this machine. I can, let's say, put some tag saying that, let's say, I can go to the tags. Does it include storage? No. Storage has nothing as a security vulnerabilities is not there in the storage. I can manage the tags. So let's say environment. Let's say testing. I can just create a tag. Okay. So machines with this tag, machines with this tags will be tracked by the AWS inspector. So I can say the name, or sorry, environment is testing. So what is happening is the machines which has this environment, you are understanding it, right? So here I'm saying that I don't want to include all the instances, all the EC2 machines. Ultimately, it will be costing you. Okay. But because you might actually practice and you forget to delete this AWS inspector, it might cost you a lot of money. So what we are doing is we are saying that we want to include all the EC2 instances. And this is a tag, or the machines which will have these tags will be tracked. Machines which will have this tag will be tracked. Can you understand? Will be tracked. So I want to say only track a specific set of machines. I can do that as well with the putting the tags as well. Now it will install the agent. So automatically when machine is created up, it will be installing the agent. Okay. Next. Okay. Now there is the assessment template. Now what all we need to check it up? We need to check the network reachability. Okay. We need to check up, we can check up the security best practices. We can check up common vulnerabilities, exposure, CIS we don't need. So yes, you can even remove them, it's fine. So network reachability is something which I want to really show it to you because of like we have enabled all the traffic. So network reachability and security best practices. Duration, like let's keep it as 15 minutes. So, okay. So here, like within 15 minutes, it will identify the issues and will tell you that issues itself. I want to like I want to run it in every 7 days. I don't want to do that. I just wanted to run it one time and that's it. I will show you the output coming up and that is enough. But you can recur like every 4 days or 5 days, you can run it and you can just give the solution, the result to solution architect saying that this is a problem which is being coming. Security team is different actually. Okay. The results is being given to the solution architects that you have to take care of these stuff. But you don't have to really do it as a solution architect, but you should know about it. Next. Okay. And I will just simply create it. I will be creating this particular network. Now, agent is not there, no, in this instance. Actually, I have not created the instance yet. That's a problem. Something that it will give. Yeah, all runs, analysis completed. Let's see. Let's see the report. Okay, I will just see the full report. So I just wanted to see here. There are 80 findings which is there. This is a report. Okay, this is a report which is there. There is no hire as of now because the agent was not installed. So you will see instance count is 1. Network reachability is like it tries it with different ports, and my machine was reachable from these particular ports. Okay. So it will be reachable from these many ports. You can see. And then there's a one more finding that is reachable from the internet. This is, you will be getting that output. Okay. As of now, the problem was the agent was not installed in this instance. That's why it is giving informational, but it's absolutely fine. By looking at these reports, we will have that idea also. And the complete reports, you can get it. And it's in very detail, very good report you get. And that report can be shared with your leads. Okay. And can be shared with your business managements, and they can really then work on it. Okay. So this is something you need to take care of. And let's say if you go to the high, if you want to see high one, you will see, okay, there now it is detecting something. Yes, yes. Okay. Network reachability. Now it is coming up. So it's a high, it's a severity is high. And you will see network reachability. UDP port 20 is associated with FTP. FTP is file transfer. FTP port is enabled. So it's saying that this instance, the port 20 is enabled. Remove that. And it will give you some ports like this. See, 2 minutes ago only, actually I downloaded the report little early, but now see, it's getting updated. It takes 15 minutes to complete it thoroughly. Actually did it little early, so that's why. 23. I told you I have enabled all the ports. So this is coming as a high priority. You need to immediately solve it out. So this is where the things will come up into the picture. You will have a like multiple types of findings. Medium is like you can take care of it later on as well. It will not impact at a very immediate basis. But what we generally do in our company is we take care of high and the medium. We don't go for the lower one. If it is really not impacting or if it's a very simple, then I can go for the lower one as well. But most of the times we are not going for the lower issues. So this is something which is definitely being there. Any questions? This benchmark which it is using, Roshan, is being completely taken care by AWS. It's a AWS managed service. So as such, there is no specific benchmark which is being defined by AWS to us. It is being completely defined by AWS. It uses, I think, ML on the back end, machine learning only. Okay. I will see if I have the notes for this. There is one notes which I have. Some more things we are going to cover it tomorrow. Okay. And guard duty, I will show you tomorrow. It's not required, but I will show you tomorrow. Okay. So I think that would be all for today, guys. Any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we can wind it up. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a nice day. I will be tomorrow. I will create a WhatsApp group also for you. Not a problem. You can discuss with me if you have any doubts. Okay, at any point of time. And also, I will give you the videos, DevOps videos as well. Okay, which will help you to learn the concept by yourself without that will be a good thing. It's my videos only. Thank you. Okay, guys. Thank you. You can leave for the day.